Now that we're officially in a brand new year, it is time to look at my 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. What's up, my dude? Your friendly neighborhood Tony here, and if you want to keep up to speed on all the new big movies that are coming out in theaters and on streaming, make sure you subscribe. Now, before we get started, standard disclaimer, this is, of course, my own personal list. These are the movies that I am looking forward to the most. My opinion is definitely going to differ from yours, so let me know what movies you're looking forward to in the comments below. Also, please excuse my voice. I'm a little congested. Isn't that how it always is after Christmas? Okay, coming in at number 10 is a movie that I'm not taking too seriously, but the first two were a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that this third installment is as well. That is, of course, the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Now, if you were to tell me a few years ago that I'd be looking forward to an upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I'd think you're crazy. But the fact of the matter is, the first two movies were a lot of fun. They really found kind of the secret sauce to make the movie both appealable to young kids and nostalgic for those of us that grew up playing the Sonic games. So Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is currently on the calendar to come out in December. We've got a ways to go for that. It's being directed again by Jeff Fowler and starring all the same people from the first two movies. Currently, we're not entirely sure if Jim Carrey is going to reprise his role as Dr. Robotnik. He previously talked about retiring from acting, but Jeff Fowler, the writer and director of the movie, did say they will not be recasting Dr. Robotnik. So if we're going to get him in this upcoming movie, it will be played by Jim Carrey. We do know that Shadow's going to be making an appearance in Sonic 3, so I'm really looking forward to this movie. I'm hoping that it's going to be as much fun as the first two, so it definitely had to make it on my list. Coming in at number 9 is a spin-off of the John Wick franchise called Ballerina. Ballerina is currently set to come out on June 7th, and it'll be starring Ana de Armas, who I think is going to do a fantastic job in this role. If you saw the most recent 007 movie, she played a spy in that, and she really was one of the best parts of that movie. She definitely has this ability to appear both obviously beautiful, but at the same time dangerous and believable in a lot of these action sequences. So Ana de Armas is going to be playing kind of a ballerina who is on the hunt for revenge against the people that had her family killed. It's supposed to take place, I think, between John Wick 3 and 4, and it looks like it's going to have an amazing cast outside of just her. So the John Wick series hasn't let me down yet, and I have every reason to believe that this movie is going to be another insane, action-packed, ultra stylish, and ultra violent movie. My only real concern with the movie is who's directing it, and that's a guy named Len Wiseman. The only other movies that he's really directed have been a number of the Underworld movies. Now, here's the thing. I like the Underworld movies. They're kind of a guilty pleasure for me, but I also know that they're not cinematic masterpieces by any means, and in fact probably most people think they're not very good. So I'm a little concerned that he's the guy that's going to be coming in here to direct this movie. I can't imagine though that they would allow something under the umbrella of the John Wick franchise to not be good. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on this one, and hopefully it lives up to my expectations. Boy, you guys aren't seeing it because I'm cutting it out of the video, but I am struggling over here. Pro tip, don't record a long YouTube video when you're congested. All right, coming in at number 8 is another sequel. I feel like there's a lot of sequels and spin-offs on this list, but this one is the follow-up to Joker called Joker Folie à Deux. Now, there's been a lot of chatter about this movie. It's been being worked on for a couple years now, and it's supposed to be a follow-up to the original movie with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn, and it's supposed to be a musical. So a lot of questions around this one. It's still being directed by Todd Phillips, who did an amazing job with the original Joker. Now, Todd Phillips, prior to that, was known for doing the Hangover movies primarily. And although those movies were okay, they were fine, I enjoyed them enough, especially the first one that kind of fell off from there a little bit. But he is a capable director, and obviously with what he did with the original Joker movie, it feels like he's just kind of getting his feet under him. So I'm really interested to see what they do with the follow-up to Joker. I don't know if they're going to be able to recapture that same spark that they had with the original, but it definitely sounds like they are just going balls to the wall, trying something completely new and different. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, coming in at number 7 is a movie that is not a sequel or a spin-off. It is a brand new IP, and it's a movie called Argyle. Now, if you saw the trailer for this, I think I did a trailer reaction a little while back. I'll try to link that up here. But Argyle is, well, first off, directed by Matthew Vaughn, who, of course, you know from directing the Kingsman movies and a few others. So he really does this kind of action with a hint of comedy in there. He does that really well. And in this movie, you have Bryce Dallas Howard, who is playing an author that writes these kind of spy thrillers about a character named Argyle. And it seems, from what I could tell from the trailer, that she then finds out that that character exists in real life. And then she gets swept up into this whole spy, espionage, action, adventure kind of situation. The movie also has Henry Cavill, who I believe plays Argyle, if I'm not mistaken. Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, Dua Lipa is in the movie. Oh, also John Cena and Samuel L. Jackson. It's got a ridiculous cast, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I like pretty much everything Matthew Vaughn does, and this really feels like it's right in his wheelhouse. And I'm always going to be excited to see new stories with new characters. Argyle is currently set to come out February 2nd, and it will also be on Apple TV, I think shortly after that. Okay, coming in at number 6 is a movie that I hadn't really heard about until maybe a week or so ago, and that is the upcoming movie by Robert Eggers. He's the guy that directed The Lighthouse and The Witch and most recently The Northman. Well, he's now doing his own take on the classic vampire story Nosferatu. And it looks like the movie is going to have, again, another ridiculous cast. You have Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Willem Dafoe, Aaron Taylor Johnson as well. So it's got an amazing cast behind it. It's got a really good creator or writer, director in Robert Eggers, and a great concept in the whole story of Nosferatu. So it really feels like all the pieces are there to make this a really solid movie. I'm always a fan of kind of like supernatural vampire monster movies, and I'm really interested to see Eggers' take on this one. So I'll be checking this out when it comes out. It is currently slated for December of 2024, and I haven't really seen any trailers or anything like that, but from what I last heard, they are, or at least they have already completed filming, so it should be in post-production now. I'll be keeping an eye on this one, and whenever they have a trailer out, I'll be sure to do a trailer reaction and let you guys know my thoughts when we have that. Okay, before we get into my top 5, a couple things I want to tell you real quick. One, I want to let you know that this video is being sponsored by you. That's right, I'm just a small little channel here with barely over 2,000 subscribers, so I don't have any big corporate sponsors or anything like that. So just by watching the video, you're really helping me out. If you want to be super dope and show your support in the easiest possible way, do me a favor and like this video and drop a comment down below. Let me know what movies you're looking forward to in 2024. You can also now join as a channel member if you want to help support me financially. I just recently did a video with my top 10 movies of 2023, and I did a bonus video with numbers 11 through 20 that's available only for channel members. So if you join, you get a little bit of extra content as well. But either way, whatever you do, I appreciate it. Okay, second thing before we get to the top 5 is I got a couple honorable mentions that I want to throw at you here. These are some movies that didn't quite make the list for one reason or another, and I'll explain why. First up is Inside Out 2. Now, I am really looking forward to this movie, but if I'm being honest, I haven't watched the original. I know, flame me in the comments, but I couldn't in good conscience put part 2 on this list if I haven't seen the first one. So I'll definitely be watching the original before the second one comes out, so that way I can have a full understanding of the movie. And even though I currently know a lot about it just from secondhand knowledge, I didn't want to mislead you guys at all. Another honorable mention is Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. I am looking forward to that movie, but it just didn't quite make my list. Kind of along the same lines is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's another movie that's coming out in 2024 that looks pretty good, but again, I'm not a massive fan of the Planet of the Apes movies, and I wanted to leave some space on my list for some newer IPs. Last up is a movie that would have definitely been high up on my list, and that is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So the third installment in the Spider-Verse series. This would have absolutely been on the list. It might have been number 1, but the fact of the matter is they've pushed the movie and they don't currently have a release date set for it. I do think it's still going to come out at some point in 2024, but without a release date, I couldn't in good conscience put it on the list. Okay, next up, coming in at number 5 is another movie that I don't have a lot of information on, but from what I do have, it sounds really interesting. And that is a movie called Mickey 17. So Mickey 17 is being written and directed by Bong Joon-ho. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's the guy that directed Parasite that came out a little bit ago. He's a very, very good director and writer. The movie's set to star Robert Pattinson as the main character. You also have Steven Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. And the premise or the concept of the movie is, well, it's based on a sci-fi novel. And Robert Pattinson's character is what they call an expendable. And they're sending him to a new planet to kind of get things set up there. But when he dies, a new body is regenerated and his memories are implanted in that body. So it's a really interesting concept, and I'm very curious to see where they go from here. Really, this is another situation where you have a very interesting sounding concept and a great team behind it with a great writer-director. And so I have every expectation that this movie is going to be really good. Currently, it looks like Mickey 17 is set to come out on March 29th, so we don't have to wait too long for it. And we'll see if Bong Joon-ho can do it again. Okay, coming in at number 4, we're getting back into the spin-offs again. This one is with Furiosa. Furiosa, officially titled Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So if you couldn't tell by the title, this is a spin-off of the Mad Max universe. It's being directed again by George Miller, who I swear every time that this guy directs a new movie, the commentary around it is, how is he doing this at his age? But I think he's still in his 70s, so my dude probably still has a number of movies ahead of him. But either way, I really enjoyed the latest Mad Max movie, and with Furiosa, we're getting kind of a prequel spin-off about that character. She was originally played by Charlize Theron in the last movie, but here it's going to be Anya Taylor-Joy playing a younger version of her. You also have Chris Hemsworth in the movie in a role that's almost unrecognizable. When I saw him in the trailer at first, I was like, wait, that's supposed to be Chris Hemsworth? But it looks like we're going to get everything that we love from the Mad Max universe in this movie. Some wild, ridiculous, over-the-top action, crazy stunts and practical effects, and some really quirky and interesting characters. Furiosa is set to come out on May 24th, and I will 100% be in the theaters watching this in the biggest possible screen with Atmos or whatever kind of crazy surround sound system they have. This is one that has to be seen in the best way possible. Another movie that deserves that big screen experience is my number 3 pick, and that is Dune Part 2. Now, Dune Part 2 was on my most anticipated movies of 2023 list last year. I actually did a follow-up to that list going over all the movies that came out and whether or not I picked well. I'll link that video up here. But Dune Part 2, it's on my list again for 2024. I really do think it's going to come out this year, though I can't imagine they would push it again. That would be crazy. But I really enjoyed the first Dune movie. I've never read any of the books, so I've been kind of holding out until this movie comes out because I don't want to spoil anything, which I know is probably crazy. But the world of Dune is so fascinating. The characters are really intriguing. Denis Villeneuve is an incredible visual director, and I've got the first Dune on 4K Blu-ray. I've watched it on my 65-inch OLED TV with the surround sound system, and it looks absolutely incredible. So I can't wait to see what they do with Part 2 and where we go from here. Currently, Dune Part 2 is set to be released on March 1st. We'll see if it sticks to that. I think it will, but either way, I'll be watching it as soon as it comes out. Okay, now another thing I want to say is with these top 3 movies, it was really hard to put them in any kind of order of most to least anticipated. So you can really kind of move them all around. They're all just my most anticipated movies of the year. But for me, the movie I put in second place is another new IP. And I guess I should say, for those that don't know what IP means, it's intellectual property. I just realized I've been saying that and some of you might not know what that means. So an intellectual property is something that someone has created. For example, Dune or Spider-Man or whatever. I don't know. I just figured I should probably explain that. But this movie that's in my second place is a new IP. It's something we haven't seen before, and that is a movie called The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy is a movie that's being directed by David Leitch, who's becoming a director that I really enjoy seeing his movies. He worked on the original John Wick, Deadpool 2, and most recently a movie called Bullet Train, which I loved. And he's also one of those directors that does action comedy really well. The Fall Guy stars Ryan Gosling as a stuntman. Emily Blunt plays his girlfriend and also the director of a movie. And Aaron Taylor Johnson plays the star of that movie, who I think Ryan Gosling is the stuntman for. And the premise is basically that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character goes missing and Emily Blunt asks Ryan Gosling to kind of hunt him down to save the movie. And so then Ryan Gosling goes on this crazy action-packed wild adventure to try to find and rescue Aaron Taylor Johnson. The movie looks like it's going to be a ton of fun and completely ridiculous, so I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I feel like you can tell too that I have a particular taste in movies because action comedies always end up high on my list. The Fall Guy is set to come out in theaters on May 3rd, and it was originally set to come out in March, but they pushed it as they do with everything nowadays, it seems. You know what though? Speaking of action comedy, my number 1 pick, my most anticipated movie of 2023 might surprise you. It probably won't though. It is Deadpool 3. You know, one really interesting thing here is that Deadpool 3 is the only Marvel movie coming out in 2024. And I'm talking core Marvel, so not Sony's Marvel movies with all the Spider-Man stuff. But there are no Avengers movies, no Captain America movies, no Iron Man, none of those kind of Marvel movies. The only one we're getting is Deadpool 3. So I am very curious to see what they do with this movie. I love the first 2 Deadpool movies, and I have no doubt that this one's also going to be really enjoyable. What I'm most curious about is how they handle some of the other Marvel properties. You know, in the Deadpool movies, we always get little cameos here and there of of other Marvel characters, and I want to know what they're going to do with this movie. We already know that Wolverine is supposed to be making an appearance in it, and there's been some talk about characters from the 2003 Daredevil movie making an appearance in this one as well. So I don't know. I am completely unaware of what they're going to end up doing with the movie. I have no doubt that it's going to be a lot of fun, but I feel like Marvel is in a really weird place right now where they're kind of resetting in a lot of ways. And as strange as it may seem, it feels like Deadpool is a big reset button for the Marvel universe. So we'll see. Deadpool 3 is set to come out July 26th, and I have no doubt that it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's everything. Those are my 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. Like I said, I did a video about my most anticipated of 2023, and I just revisited that, so I'll link to that video right over here for you if you wanted to jump into that next. I also want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. In 2023, we were able to hit 2,000 subscribers. Of course, I couldn't have done it without each and every one of you watching the videos and liking them and subscribing yourself. So for doing that, for joining me on my journey, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I hope 2024 is amazing for you, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right. Be good.